All right, all you devils out there, happy Friday, February 5th. Sam here with you. It's now always about quarter of noon here for me in Austin. Of course, we're looking at Bitcoin today. So there's a lot going on here, right? And I have just an abundance of technical tools, relationships, geometry, things that are all happening as we move through this. But I always like to start with the simplified version. What's the simplest thing that we can see? You know, a couple of things. So first, we've gone so far. I do think you have to look at here. If you're looking big picture, I do think you have to stay in log scale to get some sense of what we're doing here. And it puts the 2 and the 4 into better perspective. Out of log scale, this looks way too short. It's not deep enough. But if we go out to log scale here and considering the range we have, it makes sense to do that. It's interesting how we get 2 channels here. So here in the push off the low, we get, interestingly, we get right up to the center line of this channel, and then we kind of move sideways into this lower channel. And I've just kind of color coded them here for this as our base channel, and this is the kind of bull bear trend correct kind of channel. This is the way I'm thinking of this. So the 1, 2 pushing into the 3. Now, if you just look at it from this perspective, I mean, it just is a textbook 4. It's just, you might just, again, to simplify, what are we doing? We're consolidating. That's really all we're doing, right? We're consolidating from all of this movement here as we're just kind of chopping around here. Now, this has been very accommodative to the alts, right? So Bitcoin kind of stuck in this range is allowing alts to just absolutely rip, right? Which is great for the entire space. I know, God, I have members that are just absolutely crushing it. It's just so great to see. So as relates to Bitcoin, right? So there's 2 ways to think about my videos. I probably go half an hour here, and there's going to be all sorts of technical education here if you're new to technical analysis or you're still in the learning curve. For those of you that are into the puzzle solving, well, there's going to be a lot of meat here. For those of you that really don't give a shit and you just want to get to, okay, what's next? Well, you can go right to the last 3-4 minutes and get there now. I know many of you do that. Doesn't hurt my feelings. I understand it, right? I mean, we're busy. Like, okay, where's the next opportunity? If you're long, if you're not in, you're just, where's the next opportunity to be reasonably looking for a long, right? Certainly, this would not, in my view, shorts here are just insane, right? I don't know why anyone would do that, but if you're doing that with, you're down in the 15-minute and you're a Deegan down there doing that, have at it, right? Just be careful, right? Never without a stop. But again, just kind of thinking, where are we going? What are we doing here? This is right. The question mark is this the 4, right? That's what we're all trying to. Any Elliottician here, whether you're advanced or just looking at a rudimentary 5 wave, that's the question mark. And it's not giving us an easy answer, but we're starting to see a little more evidence that perhaps we can feel more comfortable putting the 4 in, right? It's still a question mark because this still could resolve lower. So you can certainly see how, again, just simplifying. If we're going to correct and come down into this lower channel, you can kind of see, right, that wouldn't be out of bounds. It's certainly not going to kill the trend. So that's the question mark. So I kind of like this channeling approach here. How long do we go sideways, right? I mean, you could almost even kind of draw it out this way and say, okay, we had a little throw over here. How long could we go sideways? I mean, there's some, I've seen some, pretty competent technicians and then other fundamental analysts saying that we could chop here for a while, right? We could, before we carry on, we could go sideways for a while. And that is going to be unbelievably good for alts, right? So I'm not opposed to seeing that happen. I think where we make that dividing line is if we're breaking this channel. Again, log scale. It would simplify this, right? We could say, okay, right, keep it simple to a 3. Now, we don't necessarily have to go down to the lower channel, mid channel, right? You can just drop some fibs. Where would that put us, right? If we were going to come into this corrective channel, again, it's simple, right? Just from the 2 to the 3. Now here I've got the. Oh, I was going to show you a couple of things. We can just do it this way. Okay, so for 2 to the 3, we've already tagged the 23, but if we were going to come into this lower section here, this doesn't this wouldn't alarm me. I'd be stiff as a board. I mean, this is an unbelievable opportunity if this is ever offered. Oh my God, right? That's the dream setup that we get this over here. Now, I don't think you want to sit and be waiting for that necessarily, because as we look into the smaller degrees here, there's a reasonable count here that we've completed a 5-wave structure here, and any retrace here would be less likely to come down that deep. But just looking big picture here, again, it's just an 8-hour, right? This wouldn't be out of bounds to see this kind of correction come to this level. You'd be getting underneath the Vegas wave, right? Which would be a little bit, right? It gets a little scary when that's happening. But if we come down here, this is where you got to have some, well, let's choose my words here. You got to have some confidence in the trend. Let's say it that way, right? I was about to say you got to have a pair of balls, but you have to have confidence in the trend, right? To break this trend, really, we'd have to go mighty deep here. We'd have to be breaking 20, then 18, all the way down to the golden zone here. That would surprise me, right? So just looking at this lower channel here, anything in here is just going to be a gift from God, as far as I'm concerned. So let's not count on that, but let's recognize that certainly wouldn't be necessarily a bad thing. Now, if you're levered up here and he starts coming down and you're back here saying, oh, comments are coming, you told me not to short it. Bitcoin's going to do what it's going to do. But I think right now note here in this 8-hour, look how the Vegas wave has supported here. We dap right into the lips, pop out of there. Just amazing, right? I don't put these things on here just randomly, right? These are really effective tools, right? That's why I teach them. So where are we going here? Now, we could certainly, from this point here, we could keep rolling along here. I think it's more likely here with this little double top that there's a reasonable chance here that we're going to retrace a bit, right? And we're going to have that opportunity maybe within this structure to start looking to get into the 3 of the 5th to maybe, and I'm just going to use the algo target up here. It's reasonable. We'll look at some other targets. Where are we there? 60? I think there's more. I think there actually is more upside here if we start looking at some of the wave relationships here. But just big picture here, I kind of like this center line. Correcting, still intact, still rolling here. And there is definitely always the possibility that we're going to do this, right? That's still going. This may, again, you don't know until you've got something completed and we get a deeper correction. Very possible that we're still in the 3. Here, just look at this here. So if we take, again, you got to do this in log scale. If we take the length of the 1 projected from the 2, well, we haven't gotten the 1272 yet. So if you think about this structure here and going up to the highest probability zone here at the 161.175, I could easily see recounting this here. Now now a retrace here. We're coming back to the mid 30s. Now I got a target up here of 100, which is where I think ultimately we're going. At least, right, in this leg. Kind of makes you just kind of look here. Again, I want you to think big picture here. Now, for those of you that like the little micro stuff here, and many of you do, and that's where you're trading, because this is, as you'll often hear me say, the way to approach this, I'll always encourage members, is have a portion of your Bitcoin allocated to your shorter term swing trading, and then your longer term. Okay, this is the stuff that I don't put your discretion here, but I don't put a stop on it, right? I'm not worried about getting stopped out, right? But that's just me, right? So if you are, right, you pick something that's reasonable for your risk tolerance. If it were to fall to 10 grand, I'd be buying with both hands. But again, my larger point being here, this still has plenty of legs here, and we can't define this with certainty. I mean, you can kind of look at it. I mean, let's see if we could make that work. Right? Just from here, would this be, if this was 1 and this was 2, yeah, I would do it. Right? You could kind of just look at this and say, man, I got an extension here in the 1. All right, we're do this. I'm going to get up here, and that's going to be my 3. Perfectly valid. No reason why that couldn't happen. Now we retrace. Maybe again, just kind of, it's always a good idea to kind of think about scenarios here of what could be coming. Now we retrace right to the channel line. Right, we're going up for the 5 and we're going up for 100. Very reasonable roadmap. All that said, this has certainly turned out to be a very technical pivot. Now, so we can look at it here in this context. Right, other things that we've looked at here, I'm going to take this off just for the time being. Right, so right now this still looks like, based on what the evidence we have, this is the 3 question mark. Right, could be the 4. We certainly can complete an impulse here. Right? I mean, we've done it. Shit, the last month we've been through this, multiple times getting up here, and now we're trying to figure out what the hell we've got here, right? And this is, for an Elliottian, this is kind of the challenge. What do we have? Is it WXY? Or, we're going double combo? Is it, okay, are we just doing an ABC and now we got a diagonal? This is either love it or you hate it, right? I understand that. So if you hate it, you probably ought to bail now or go to the last 3 minutes. But if you like it, right, and you're trying to figure this out, I know members are in here trying to dig this out. What's the highest probability? So we never know, right? We don't know until it's complete, but we work through probabilities. Based on rule set and guidelines, what's most likely to have completed here? Now, we've been kind of back and forth because Bitcoin is, as I've said, you've heard me say many times, it's a seductive, it reveals itself very, very slowly. It's always kind of a tease. Oh, you think it's that? Oh, just when you think it's that, I'm going to do that. So now you're not sure. That's so often what happens with Bitcoin. So we don't know. We make an educated guesstimate as to what seems the most probable path from where we are. That's all we ever do. That's all Elliott Wave is ever doing. It's not a crystal ball. All right, so let's just look at a couple of things here. Shit, I'm going to have to remember where all these are. First one, I think, is right here, right? So this is interesting, right? So we've looked at this before. The length of this proposed 1 here, and all I'm doing is just range expansion, right? It's wolf range. So all I'm doing is just range expansion up. It's within a couple of ticks. It's not to the tick, but we're mighty damn close here. Complete range expansion, right? So the assumption is that that's not happening randomly, right? This is algo driven. Everything in here, if you guys, we got to be in agreement at that point, right? The market is driven by algorithms, right? So, yeah, we're in here dicking around, but what's driving the market? Algorithms, okay? I think we got to agree on that, right? Or this is going to be, a challenge, right? I'm not trying to convince you. All I ever do is provide you with the evidence, right? And let you draw your own conclusions, right? But I would propose to you there's very strong evidence that's the case. Now, I'm going to put this on here. So I just kind of went through this. It's always solving the puzzle. What are the algorithms doing, right? And God knows how many algorithms are in here. We're never going to know, but we know a couple of dominant ones that we can track. So again, I'm just looking at range expansion here. Here's 100, 200. Kind of did the same thing up here, if I can find it. Here, we could do it this way. Just kind of looking in here, okay, if I have more range expansion, if I'm going 100, 200, well, I'm getting up here 67. Could be, right? But for me to say, okay, that's what's going on. That's the algo that's in play. Well, first we got to break this range. Wouldn't be surprised if we retraced here. Now we're going up. Okay, there's the 100, right? We're going up. There's the 200, right? Very common range expansion. Look, right? So where's the big 200? Up here, 130K. Right? Very common range, right? Very, very high probability there's an algo that's driving that. All right, so that's how many? 13 minutes. Okay, so let's now, with this kind of simplified and a couple of different roadmaps laid out here, which I would encourage you to do for yourself, right? You don't have to follow mine. Just have what makes sense to you, right? Particularly members, right? You're going to want to apply rules and guidelines here, and what you've deciphered in here with regards to the micro swings relative to this degree, all the algorithmic activity in here, and there is a shitload of it, right? It's just it's just one after the next, unbelievable. So if you're watching that. Hang on one sec. Sorry, I've got an open trade in the YM here. I'm just moving up a stop. Okay, I'm back here. Okay, I should probably edit that out, but I don't think I was going too long. Okay, so now from this, right, kind of big picture here. Let's go to the micro count here and let's dig into this little puzzle and see if we can make sense of it. All right, so with that here, let me just pop over here. I think this is where I've got it all. Okay, here. So now I'm down to a 60. Now we've been puzzling with this and trying to figure out what the right path is here. Last we looked at it, we were considering, right, at least in terms of my approach to it, it looked to me like maybe we were going to go WXY X and we were going to go A, B, C, and we're going to get a Y here. Well, this now has gotten kind of interesting, right? This, I think in the last 7 or 8 minutes of last Friday's video, or I think I did it on Saturday last week because I was in Vegas. We were saying, well, there's an outside chance here if this is going to pop, this could turn into a leading diagonal, which would, it gives it to us, but it leaves it just enough of a tease here that you could likely count if it falls here. Right? Again, this is so like Bitcoin. If this falls again, we could recount this. But right now, this is one, it's very technical, and two, it's pretty textbook. So you're kind of back here saying, okay, well, if that's the 4, right, it's a contender, I can get a leading diagonal in here. Now, you'd love to see this get a little higher, right? But it's not uncommon to double top in a diagonal based on the depth of the 4 that we get here. So again, not such a purist here that I would DQ this, but I wouldn't be surprised if this kicked a little higher over the weekend to lock this in. Now you're really have a high degree of confidence here that we've got a leading diag. And then again, back to just process of elimination, we're not going to get a leading diag in the midst of this correction. So you got to work backwards here and say, okay, well, if that's going to be my leading diag here, all right, well, then that means my 4, how am I going to get there? And we've looked at this over the last couple of weeks, a couple of different ways. This is the weakest leg because it's a bit of a clusterfuck. Now, there's some algo play in there, but again, just to simplify it, I'd go WX, and then you got to go A, B, clear impulse here. And it's technical. It's technical. Now, we kind of looked at this and, you could simplify and say, okay, I got all these wicks down here. Okay, you want to just price action it? Okay, coming down to prior. Where was demand? All right, demand, right? We didn't quite get to this level. Demand. And you simplify it that way. Nothing wrong with that approach. I prefer to get into the nitty gritty and say, hey, can I get a count that works there that's valid? And I know this is a little shaky, but you could, fuck, one way or another, you can get 3 into that. It's a bit of a shuffle, but it doesn't make me go, oh, I'm uncomfortable with that 4. I can live with that WX, but this is clear as a bell. So the technical side of this is interesting here. So if we look, what's shit coming down? Oh shit! Let's see if I can find them all. Okay, so let's start. I got sort of shit. I got to remember where they are. Okay, here. This was beautiful. Okay, so swing golden zone. We looked at this last week. We go here's third target, right? So this would be the 1618 from that golden zone, right? And we finish with a clean impulse that finished that. There's a modified shift pitchfork in here, right here. All right, so from this swing up to this pivot, which gives us that nice X, we come right down to the edge, right? It's damn near to the tick. It's within a tick or two. So remember, in a correction, you want to use a shift as your first look, right? I always start with the shift. So we get, boom, we get that. I get, we got to find it here. There it is. Oh, fuck, I'll just draw it. I got so many of them here. This is almost to the tick, right? Just the kind of thing you're looking for to build a case, right? What do I get here? Right? It's exactly the length of the W projected from the X, 100. So do you see the confluence that we build here? So I've got this from this algo, I get third target within a tick. I've got perfect A to B equals C to D, or in this case, W to X equals Y. More evidence here that the 4 is in. I finish with a clear impulse, right? We want to finish with a 5. Now, so the case becomes pretty solid here that I've got a reasonable contender here. Now this, right, is deeper than you'd like, but considering this ends up being a diagonal, that's kind of what you're anticipating. It's the choppiness, right, rather than that smooth impulsiveness. A diagonal is this choppiness, right? It's a bit of indecision in the trend. Right, here's the Elon tweet, retraces. Now we're kind of grinding up here and looking, that you could probably dig a 5 out of that pretty easily. But we really, in a diag, what we want is, so you probably have to go A, B, and then dig your 5 out of this. So you go A, B, C to get that up here. We don't know that that's done. But again, just so certainly we have a technical pivot here, right? No question about that. All right, so let's pull some of this off of here. This one, let's just take it off. This one, let's take it off. All right, so candidate for the 4. Okay, so as we looked last week, if that's the leading diag, well, there's a couple of things I want to look at. One, how am I looking on that 3? So from my low here, projected from that 2. Okay, well, the high probability, right? So it's more common in a diagonal for the 3 to only go 1, 2, 7, 3, 8, 2 than to get to your 1, 6, 1, 8, which you'd expect in an impulse. So this is right by the rule set, right? Just what you're expecting there. Now, this goes a little deeper. More typically, you'd anticipate that the 4, you'd look for the 4 off of at 50% from the 1. But what do we get, right? We know that Bitcoin is utterly dominated by the golden zone. Utterly dominated, right? So let's just draw it up here. I know I've got them in there. Okay, so what do we get? Here, if I can get it right on that tick. Got it. Right there. Okay, it's to the tick. Let's get it in there. Okay, so I'm right on it. Okay, so there's that from the tick. So you see what we do here? So you get confluence here because you might say, does that mean it broke there? Well, slow your roll, right? Off of this roll, or here. Look at the confluence here. Unfreaking believable, right? For those of you that are futures traders, I'm going to be doing a really detailed analysis here of golden zones in the futures market here for day traders over the weekend. So if you're into that and you're a ninja trader, you've seen some of the stuff that we're doing there, I'm going to blow your mind this weekend. Okay, so with this here, so right, 2 of them stacked on top of each other. Look what comes off of that, right? Boom. Now, we're not to target yet. So you got a little bit of conflicting technical information here. One, if this is going to hold the rule set here as a leading diag, we want 5 longer than 3. So we want this to go up here and get that target because we've got a target based on wave relationship. So length of the 3 projected from that 4, right? I got a little target box up here that I want to get. Now, it's possible, right? An algo taking profit here will deny that. Again, this is, you got to make your own decision how much a purist you want to be. I would still call this a leading diag. Now, what else do we have in here? We've got, if I open this up here, if I can find them. There's so much going on in here. Hang on, I got them in here. Not that one. Oh, fuck, here, I'll just draw it up. Okay, so from this, right, if I put this right here. All right, I've got that one, and I've got, right, certainly, I've got this one. Oh, shit, here, hang on a sec. Let's get these right on there. I had another one. There's that one. That's the big one. Bear with me. God, I know there's another one in here. Oh, well, that's right. Okay, so let's just open it up in here again. All right, so right now, we've got a hard target here. So coming off of this, so I have a golden corner, right? I have the confluence of these 2 here leading towards that median line. Okay, so it's right now, as long as, right, I always emphasize this, right? So the people, as long as that pivot holds, we've got 80% odds of getting there. Now, we're not there yet. Now, how you can kind of see it, right? So if we get up here and we get to the median line here, as far as I'm concerned, that's close enough, right, to call this. I'm not, again, not such a purist that, oh, God, it missed the 100 by, 7 ticks. I'm not going to call that a leading diagonal. Would I like it? Yeah, because then I'm just rock solid on this, right? Then we know we've got a leading diag. And there's the wild card here, that this could get relabeled, that this would be the 1, this would be the 2, this. So there's lots of upside here, but it's all pointing up. Now, what's the negative here? Well, we double topped here, right? Which is very common. So you got kind of a bit of conflicting information here. It's very common for a diagonal that goes that deep to double top, which is why you don't want the deeper 4, because this is the likely outcome here. Now, we can look at this and say, okay, if that's A, B, maybe you can kind of look at it and say, okay, this maybe 1, 2, could be 3. There's a little ABC. We're going into a 5 up here. Well, I don't want to finish this with a 5. I want an ABC in here, right? So this, right, you can see how all of a sudden this could end up as a bigger 3, and we'd go on ABC into the 1. This could be A, of a B before we go C into the 3. So the whole thing could get bigger. And if next week, if we've had a rip-roaring rally, that's high probability how we'll be relabeling this. But right now, since we're not there yet, you got to work with what's right in front of you. Right now, it looks like, oh, hey, I could double top here. So possibly, you could look at this and say, oh, that could be the A. This could be A, B, C. Now we're going to go up here. We could get there higher. Right? All of this is pointing to higher prices. Of course, you do have to recognize here, we've got just the structural resistance to get up there to blow through a double top. So you kind of put all that together and you go, oh man, there is a lot of evidence to suggest that this is a really good looking target for that 5. Does that mean buy it here? Well, I wouldn't. This, love, right? That's great buy. Right, it's coming down. You've got all this technical confluence here. Look at the risk reward there, right? Even if you use 707, very, very low risk. Look at all that upside. So if this is going to retrace here, now we just kind of do the same thing, right? Same thing from this pivot. Okay, right now I've got a top. So if I come into this zone down here, get this hot. If I come down into here, all right, for those of you just waiting to say, okay, God, enough with the technical, right? Where's the next buy? Right, there you go, right? Simple. What would you have there if you got it again? Same exact thing. Right? Now, look what you're stacking up here. This whole area becomes, wow. Right? Golden, double golden zone here. Golden corner, golden corner. If, right, I don't have this yet, but if we get down here, hey, heads up here. Again, price action, people, just structure. I got a prior structure here. That's where we can anticipate potentially prior resistance would be becoming support. Where's the point of control? Obviously a big volume node here. If we come down here in a 3, that's a buy all day long. Otherwise up here, I'm not buying that. I never buy breakouts, ever. What do we got here? That's a triple top. That's a sucker play. Does that mean it can't break? Of course not, right? I've told you this all the time, right? Of course that can break through. That's just not risk reward that I choose to participate in. It's not good enough for me, right? I want to buy it here with a stop here, with upside here, not buy it here with a stop down here. If you buy it here, there's your target, right? Where's your stop, right? If you're going to use the market, it's down here, right? Your ass backwards there. That's what the novice trader does. Right. Well, I got to give it plenty of room here. I know it's going to get to that median line, so I got to give it lots of room. Right. When you do that, right, guarantee, right, it'll come right down here. Right. And instead of going, and now you're shitting your pants, it's coming down. You don't know what's going on, so you panic sell it. What does it do? Right. It'll come down here and do this. It'll come down here and rip up and go get it. Right. That's what happens to the inexperienced trader. Let me say it that way. Right, so don't put yourself in that position where you're going, oh, you're freaking out. You're freaking out. Oh my God, it's going to, right? You got to avoid that, right? So this is why you like this little one here. A little bit of risk. You could take that with leverage, no problem. You want to take 10 to 1, 100 to 1, have at it. Your stop is so close, shit, you're going to get liquidated out of it if it falls too far anyway. But I'm not saying don't do that, but don't do this. Right? That's foolish, right? You've heard me say that 1,000 times. Don't buy, that's a triple top, right? Much higher probability. Let it come down. Let them put it on sale. Sorry, watching my YM trade. All right, how are we doing here? Okay, I think there's half an hour. All right, so you got I think that probably covers us. We got the shorter term, what's happening here down on the 60. I would encourage you to stay 60 or above. We got the 8 hour, looking at the long term, looking at those channels, right? So I think we got it all covered here. Right? This is a good way to look at it. Here's my trending channel, here's my correcting channel, right? You can see how, right? The market draws this. All I'm doing is connecting dots. Good way to look at it. I would love to be doing that as the years, we're going into, the summer, right? As we go into that, God, I hope we're doing that. But not yet. Here's what we got. Okay, guys, there we go. That's about 30 minutes. Probably give you plenty to chew on, right? Keep a couple of roadmaps, right? So you're not surprised by anything. Okay, guys. You guys have a good weekend. Futures traders, ninja traders, have some content for you over the weekend. You'll see it on that playlist and on our channel. Okay, guys, have a good one.